We could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Tyler, can we have roll call?
Sure. John Boersma.
Here.
Mike Moffitt.
Here.
Mike Bovat.
Here.
Tyler McLeod, present. Wayne Pondinas.
Present.
Nicole Bennett.
Present.
Chris Salatas.
Present.
Pat Connolly, absent for now. And Gabe Hernandez, maintenance foreman, also present.
Thank you. Item 4, approval of minutes for Monday, June 28th, 2021. I'd like to have consideration.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for Monday, June 28th, 2021.
I'll second that.
It's a motion by Mike Moffitt, second by John Boersma. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Item 5, new business. A, Heron Lake splash pad maintenance.
Yeah, so our splash pad shut off last Wednesday, July 14th, where the timer stopped working properly. We had it on manually for the remainder of that day and then kept it off late last week due to the weather. But thankfully, Gabe was able to fix it yesterday. It was just a fuse. And Reichelt also performed a few other minor repairs for us this week. But we were initially concerned that the control box needed replaced again. Thankfully, that wasn't the issue this time. And especially considering the weather this week, it's been super busy. But right now, it's fully operational, and we're
Moving
a
forward.
little concerned when that happened last Wednesday.
What was it? What's the problem with the box? Is it too low or something? Like it floods out? Like is there a way to raise it or?
So it's located in a vault there at the park. So it's like an underground vault. The door opens up. Long term, that is maybe a consideration we need to have is maybe we get it above ground and some type of a permanent structure out there. We were out there today, and it's so busy during the summer where we think we could almost have permanent restrooms out there, given the crowds. And then maybe as part of that project, we could have a little room where we have like a control room for the splash pad to get it out of that vault. But that's something I think that park, not all of our parks would need permanent restrooms, but that would definitely be one I think that we would want to consider given how busy it is.
I think that's a great idea, and if we can really appreciate the Parks Department remedying that, because my wife and the grandkids went over there, and I tell you, that place, it is really a linchpin of the community when it gets hot like this. A lot of people utilize that. And I have heard comments about the portable restrooms. It gets a little muddy down there sometimes, so if we could, down the road, have some kind of an idea to put something permanent, I think that'd be ideal. That's a good idea. What about looking into that? How would we go about, Tyler, as far as like maybe raising that up? Have to get somebody.
Yeah, I can look into it further and get some quotes on potential options on what it would take. See if we can get that project on our capital improvement plan.
You talking with the bathrooms? Like with the bathrooms and raising it?
Well, I mean, maybe we can get a few options. Maybe there is something else we could do with just an enclosure for the time being for that until a restroom come to fruition. I can look into that as well.
How much was that control? Wasn't that like $3,000 or $4,000 or something?
I think the first time it was repaired last year was around $3,900, and then the second time, I think we were able to talk them down to closer to $2,500
Yeah, about 25. For a brand new one.
for a brand new
And
one.
it don't come with any warranty?
Not for water.
That was water damage.
That's why I was thinking that definitely figure something out.
Right. right?
Get that at least moved up or
Right,
get the project going where
for sure. I'm just appreciative that we were able to get it taken care of, so thank you very much.
Job, Gabe.
Any other comments on that one? Item 6, old business, A, Gates Skate Park.
Yeah, so I sent out updated renderings, which maybe, Jason, did you receive those? Okay. I think maybe Adam, Adam, are you there?
I am here.
Yeah, could you maybe share those on your screen?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I also
Let's do
included
this.
in your packet an updated target schedule for the construction.
Well, let's walk through this construction schedule. Well, should we do that after I present the design or before?
You know, I think we could do the design first. I
Okay.
think that'd probably be ideal.
Perfect. Here we go.
Here we go, we're coming in.
Do you see the design?
We do.
Yep.
So once again, thanks for having me. We're very pleased to present the final renderings. A couple changes since you've seen them last. Mainly some elements that we took the input of some of the local community members and changed a few things and added a few things. You might notice that the bowl is slightly different shaped than the last time. This bowl is more of a compact bowl. It's actually a replica of a bowl that I skate regularly up near the Illinois-Wisconsin border. It's a private bowl, and we're really, really excited to be able to bring this to a public setting. It is 5 foot deep in the shallow and 7 foot deep in the deep, and it's a very, very fun bowl to skate. We'll get more into that as we go through. Also kept the stair step features as the replica of the amphitheater in town. We did take out the steps here, and I know it's kind of small, and I'll point those out on a couple slides going forward. So now we have more of a flow around the park. You can actually ride around the park now instead of having to ollie down or walk up these steps. So keep going around. 4 foot mini section. It did have a pole jam. We took the pole jam out. These are terms that I wouldn't expect everybody to understand, but the pole jam essentially is just an obstacle that you can kind of ride up and over. But in this particular situation, it could have found a better location. So we ended up taking that out. In lieu of that, we put a wall jam here, and I'll show you how that works on a different slide. But we kept the 4-inch mini half pipe section. You might see the Musco lighting shown in the rendering. That's for future, but we are in the process of working with, we have actually worked with Musco to get the quotes and the positioning of the lighting in. We're currently working with an electrical engineer to establish the connections and different gauges of wires and control boxes and such. So it's shown in the rendering, but it's not part of the scope of this project, of our scope at least. Concrete pump track, that has not changed. One thing I want to point out with these renderings is that we show the height of the turn down walls on the pump track, but in the actual pump track will have berming up on all of the areas that are elevated. So it will essentially, it won't look flat. It will be what you're seeing here, but it will have the sense of, you won't fall over a wall, essentially. You'll have a berm to the back. Oververt wall, that was an important design element with this particular design. Seating area for the pump track. And the oververt wall basically establishes a start and stop zone. So if you're coming in here, you're rolling around the pump track, you kind of need a place to kind of stop or end. And that's going to give you that ability to kind of roll up, do a kick turn, or come back fakie. The existing asphalt path is shown. I don't know why I keep getting notifications. We have an intermediate skate section here with a back and forth flow, which is pretty conducive to you start here, you ride up the bump or the bank and ride down the rail and then end over here and turn around and do the same thing back. You'll also notice some street features here. We'll get into more of the details. I just want to run through the main points. And we also have a beginning section right here these are going to be a shorter rails, shorter ledges, or lower to the ground for folks that are still kind of learning how,
That's where you're going to show us, right? You're going to come out and give us lessons on that,
me, yeah.
the beginner part?
It's either the beginner park or the old person area, which
Wow.
I do that. No, that's me. That's where I ride. I don't get into the big stuff. Obviously, a shade structure was very important with seating underneath it, and of course, a concrete access path from the parking lot in. I'm not sure if the board saw the last rendering, but we had the color as yellow, and Tyler suggested that maybe we should try blue, and blue looks really good. So if we have no objection, we'll go with that. I'm going to go to the next slide here. This is just a different camera angle, exactly the same things we talked about. You can see the bowl a little bit better in this view. Again, that beginner section right here with a lower rail and a lower ledge, quarter pipe with an extension going into the intermediate section. I'm not sure if that was shown in that last one. Oh yeah, it was. This ball here, we call that, I call those target balls. It's a bollard, essentially. It's about a 36-inch round concrete ball, and it's basically an obstacle. You can sit on it, you can jump over it, ollie over it, whichever you need to do. But that's a cool element that we like to put in. And you see a better angle of this wall jamb. This is steel, all steel right here. And essentially, when you're up on this spoon section, you can actually pop over this. You can come out of the half pipe onto it. So that's just going to add a lot of cool options when you're flowing through the park. And again, you see a better angle of the street section, the intermediate street section, with an extension on this side. Notice that the two-tone concrete also, you're going to have natural colored concrete accented with a darker, like a charcoal color or a light charcoal color. All right, so I'll move to the next slide. Stop me if you have questions. I'll be happy to
I have one quick,
go into more detail.
One real quick.
Yep.
On the ramp, you said it's made out of steel. How's that installed or whatever? Yeah.
So so all of the steel is made in our facility and shipped out to the site. It's powder coated, and what it is it's set into this position, and then this top deck is poured around it. So it's a permanent feature right there. It's there's no way it's coming out, and it's about, I can't remember how exactly the thickness of the steel, but it's most likely around 6 inches thick.
All right. I was just worried about if kids could try to flip it over and vandalize it or something.
There's no way. Yeah, no, this is all permanent. Everything here is permanent. All the rails are embedded into the concrete. All the ledges. This pan feature here. I wish I can get into it. Let's see if we can find. See, all these seating benches are all essentially similar, manufactured basically the same way, except these are poured concrete into the pan. Okay. It's just a different angle, basically the opposite angle. You can see the positions of the lights. I don't see these positions changing. This is what Musco said is all that's necessary for this. The light levels are perfect for the park, but are focused specifically on the area with little to no light bleed. In fact, I don't know the technical specifications. I believe we sent those over to Tyler, but the light levels, by the time they reach 100 feet, are actually non-existent. That's how focused these lights are. But again, that's for future. So by then, the technology can change and get even better. Just a different angle. You can see the berming up here. So this is a more accurate interpretation of how this park will be on the site. So imagine these berms here as well. All behind here, up around here. Yep. Okay. You can see a better angle of this ledge. This is a giant ledge. So you're able to drop in here, bump, ollie onto this ledge and ride it in both directions. And that's important because obviously there's different, skaters have different direction or stances. So you're able to ride this in every direction. Another angle, you can see the shade structure, the seating underneath it, the access path, the beginner section. The deck up around here is about 4 foot. And you can kind of see a better idea of how this bowl looks. The ramp down in lieu of the steps that were there. This used to be a transition. I think it's just a bank now, but that's actually pretty cool because now you can actually just like ride right into the section here and kind of roll right through it, flow through it. Shoots you into the intermediate section. You see that bollard a little bit better right there. And these pan ledges. I'm going to try to do something and zoom into, let me see here if I can zoom into, oh, here's a better idea here. Let's see here. So you see these ledges here. These actually are skatable ledges, but they're not intended to be skated in this specific position or setting because this is a non-skatable area. We use the same, benches essentially as our ledges, but this is all powder-coated steel, and this is concrete poured into that pan. Essentially, we call it a pan. It's the same idea with the big ledge that I was talking about. Here you can kind of see a better angle of the pump track, a start and stop pump bump. That's important because you need that to start your run, and you can also help slow you down after your run, or you can keep going. You can see how you enter into the pump track section by this bump right here, and it also shows off this bank extension here that helps you get speed to go into the intermediate skate area. Another angle here. All right. I think that's all I've got for this. I have 6 rendering or title blocks to show, so I went through all of them. Any questions on the design?
For like the drainage from the middle of the pump track and the other thing,
Yep.
do you guys put all that in?
Absolutely. In fact, I'll go back really quick. So the pump track's definitely going to need a drain or 2 in here. I'm not exactly sure, and this is part of the process we're working through right now, is where the drains are going to be, how many we need. We already know where we're going to tie. We think we know where we're going to tie into. There's a series of drains just a little north of the site that we can tie into. But the bowl is going to have 1 drain. Most likely you'll need another drain here because this section is lower. Everything else can be sheet flowed off, meaning that it's just pitched slightly and let this flow out. And of course you'll need a drain out here. So I see 3 or 4 at least drains. Again, there, and probably 2 in here. And they'll tie into a drain that's up over here. All right.
Adam, I was just going to ask, just curious, that overt wall, how tall is that?
It's about 8 feet. And you'll be able to see once we're working through the construction documents. We have some things going on behind the scenes right now internally where we're actually drawing this up, for internal review on our construction documents. But that's about 8 feet tall, and it's not intended to go up and over. It looks scarier than it really is. It's really intended to be more of just a up and down. By the time you hit this, you won't have enough speed to even hardly get to the top. You'd really have to try very, very hard to get to the top. And even if you did, you wouldn't have much to do up there. So what this is intended to do is to catch you from going, into no man's land, and maybe give you an opportunity to turn around. I would ride this, like let's say I drop into the pump track, pump over this, ride this around maybe a couple times. By the time I'm over here, I'm going to be going pretty quick, and I need somewhere to stop. So I'll use this bump to slow myself down slightly, but I'll still have momentum, and I'll need something to kind of bring me out and catch me. And what I will probably end up doing is getting up here, and slowly coming back, and I'll be done at that point. You can do it the other way too. You can start here, hit that kick turn, and gives you enough speed to move you in the opposite direction. But it's about 8 feet tall, and you'll be able to see the exact dimensions of that once we send the construction documents out for review.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions? We'll move to the construction.
Schedule.
Yeah.
Okay. So here is the schedule. Hopefully you can see this. I just did Tyler has a PDF of this, but I just screenshotted it really quick. So we'll talk a little bit about kind of where we're at and where we will be soon. Obviously, there's a lot that's gone on in the last couple months to get to this point on today. So we talked about the geotech. We did that. We did the site survey. We're hopeful that we've worked through the conceptual design and development. We've worked with the park board and the Parks Department, as well as some of the local community members to take their input into consideration and come up with the design that I just presented. So we're hopeful today that the park board approves the design that was put forth. And once that's approved, we'll go into phase 2, which is the construction documents phase, which we've actually already started to kind of do internally. So as early as 10 days from today, we'll have a set of construction documents at 90% that we'll be able to share with the Parks Department. And you'll be able to review those internally. We'll be doing the same thing internally on our end. We'll pick up any of your notes or comments, considerations, and implement them internally. And it takes about a week or so at that point. And then we'll hopefully come up with 100% construction document set. And that is the actual set that we use to build the park with. We'll have them stamped by a Indiana licensed engineer. Any permitting that's necessary will be done within the next few weeks as well. All right. Then there's going to be a little bit of a pause where you won't see much happening, but there'll be a lot going on behind the scenes, and that's the steel fabrication. So we talked a lot about there's a lot of steel that needs to be fabricated, galvanized, powder coated, so on and so forth, and then obviously shipped out to the job site with all the other important construction materials. Once everything is en route, what we try to do is coordinate our build team to arrive around the same time that the materials arrive, and then it's on. We start building the skate park. We'll talk a little bit about that. Steel fabrication starts essentially next week and runs for about a month or so. A little bit more than a month, it's about 6 weeks. We have a construction meeting. We can talk about that a little bit later. Obviously, site preparation. We're going to grab everything, prepare the site, clearing and demolition, address any of the utilities, those kinds of things. So now we're into September, early September, where you'll start to see the site being worked. And we'll run through that, grading, earthwork, rebar and steel. You'll start to see things starting to come together towards the end of September, early October. October is going to be the main month. A lot's going to happen during October. And then, of course, we start pouring concrete, shooting the concrete. Obviously, I'm going backwards. We form the concrete, then we shoot the concrete, and then we pour the flat work last. So this project is going to go into November. We're hopeful that we get a good weather like we did last year. We actually built a park in central Illinois and finished it around almost exactly the same schedule as this. And it worked out really well. And also, there's something about pouring concrete in a colder environment. I personally believe and think it's known that the concrete actually holds up. It cures a lot. It's a little bit slower and holds up a lot better. And then we go into punch lists and detail work. Landscaping is going to be obviously in the spring. So there's really no sense in laying out, the seed rolls or in November. We can talk a little bit more about that. If that's what you want us to do, we can do that. But most likely it's best to do that in the early spring.
Okay.
But this park will be ready to skate, albeit late in the year, but it will be ready to skate this year.
So,
Okay. I had one question.
Or ride.
During the
Yeah.
actual construction, like around September, November, are they gonna have like a 6-foot fence around the whole project, or what do you guys usually do, keep people out of there?
It's a good question. I don't believe we budgeted for a 6-foot construction fence. I have to go back into the contract, and typically what we'll do is we'll put like a snow fence around it. But I will say that we have our crew is most likely going to be on site or nearby at all times. So that's one thing. But that's something we can talk about a little bit more if it's necessary.
yeah, that's a good plan. So is there a date on the schedule where the park board and yourself we're going to be able to drop in and start the alley in, or?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be there pretty frequently, and as soon as that bowl or any of the transition pieces are ready. But I'll tell you, we don't. There's a reason. I don't know the technical reasons, but I know that just our process is that we pour the transitions first, so the flat work is always last. So there's really no chance of people sneaking in and skating, or trying to hop the fence or whatever and ride the park before it's ready. It won't be rideable, since that wouldn't be possible. But yeah, as soon as that bowl is ready to ride, I'll be testing it out.
I'm willing to give it a try.
Oh yeah.
Well, I can tell
yeah,
you that
so-
I think you guys did a fabulous job on the design.
Thank you. Thank you. We're very proud of it, and this is incredibly unique, very linear skate park. It's something that you should be very proud of with you, and we hope that you will be for many, many years. Yep.
Yeah, I like it too. It looks really good.
Yeah.
I don't see anything that I would be opposed to, or really don't have the insight for that. But
Everything is skatable. Everything there. Obviously, you do notice that in this particular picture, you'll see smooth trowel finish, flat work, butted up against essentially a sidewalk. This sidewalk is not intended to be skated. It's going to have control joints like you've noted, like you're accustomed to in a city sidewalk. Whereas this is a specific skate surface.
And you also said, I believe, Adam, last time, this is also could be used for BMX.
Oh, I should. Yeah, thank you very much. I often use skate as a catch-all phrase for all non-motorized wheeled vehicles, roller vehicles. So yes, absolutely, BMX, all-inclusive, BMX, scooter, roller skate, skateboard, obviously, and even wheelchair users. It's kind of a growing area of ridership.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. You'll see a lot of bikes on the pump track. I usually say skate parks are skateboard parks that everybody can use, whereas a pump track is essentially a bike track that everybody can use.
Right. Okay.
okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So in order for you to move forward, then you're wanting approval of from the park board as far as like the updates? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think essentially we just want to know that everybody's on board with this specific design so that we can move into the construction document phase. Color, features, everything, yeah.
Ms. Nicole, would be appropriate then just to have verbiage as far as like agreeing to the updates that we've seen and.
Sure, I think that what Adam indicated in what he sent over, these these schematics that can be proposed referred to. Is there a marking on these, Adam, that I'm just not seeing a version or a document number?
They're all the same rendering, just different camera angles, and the one we're looking at now is the labeled one. Essentially, is kind of calling out the main features.
Is there a date on that I just can't see?
There is not. It's just general copyright 2021. So, it's, I called it title block, St. John title block 1B. So I think the first version was just, I don't know, labeled title block. Second was labeled title block 1A, and this is 1B. That's just the way I wrote it down.
Okay.
Or labeled it. Yeah. But the only, like I said, the only difference here is the color from the last. Tyler, I'm not sure that everybody saw the yellow version, so I don't want to bring that.
I remember
into
that.
Saw it.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
We seen that.
Yeah.
Then I would propose that, as he's defining it as this title block version 1B, to propose the acceptance and approval of this construction design.
Okay. I'd like to consider the construction design for St. John Title Block 1B for the skate park.
So moved.
I second.
That's a motion by Mike Moffett, second by John Boersma. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, Adam, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. So yeah, so look forward to phase 2 beginning now. Construction documents, and we'll be in touch.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you much.
Continuing with item 6, old business. B, Founders Park.
Work continues at Founders Park. They're continuing with the earthwork and the boardwalk footings. I was alerted to an issue last Thursday, July 15th, where I was informed that the power was cut off to the lift station to the west side of the park. And this was due to the excavation work that was being done where they hit an electrical line that feeds into the station when they were cleaning out the pier holes for the boardwalk. The contractor is coordinating with the utility company on the repair work needed for the line. And the update I received today was it would take potentially 2 to 3 weeks, potentially longer for the boring to occur to make that necessary repair. In the meantime, the lift station is running on a generator. And we're still gathering information on how this happened, more specifically why that line wasn't located. In the meantime, the contractor is continuing earthwork and then construction on the front or the east end of the property. And I included an updated construction target schedule in your packet there.
Okay, thank you for that. C, Civic Park Tennis Court.
A few pending items a week ago was the sport coating, striping, and the fence work, and all those items were completed by last Wednesday, July 14th, and the court is the project's now done.
Awesome.
I know we're hoping maybe a little bit extra to work on the batting cages. Was that possible or no? I know for whatever reason, like the last week, Facebook's starting to blow up about that. We're putting it's like, why doesn't the baseball league fix those or whatever?
I know that our team, they did do quite a bit of cleanup work out there recently, and then we were also looking to see if there was money in the budget to make more extensive repairs to it. Yeah, that's something still a pending item for this year.
Perfect.
Moving on to 7, reports and correspondence. Board members.
I'm just glad to be back.
Glad to have you back, believe me.
That's all I got. I got nothing.
That, anything, Mike? I'm good also. Staff?
Just one item for me. So as the board knows, it's been discussed a few times, our park rules and our ordinances need to be updated. Chris and I have discussed it briefly. From what I understand, there's some other areas of the town code that need updated as well. So that's something I think with Nicole's assistance we will start to work on here pretty soon. I think as summer winds down, we get into fall, we can do a pretty deep dive into this. And then definitely have it in place in time for the next busy park season. But
You have done some things though, haven't you? I thought.
yeah, we kind of have a tentative, outline together. Certainly nothing worth, reviewing at this time, but yeah, it's been something that we have done some work.
That's a big endeavor, and I think that's, really needed.
It is.
Truly.
Tyler had previously provided me kind of a detailed list of the things that he was considering and that he was seeing as being of concern. And I've gone from that and have, obviously setting out as park rules versus having them in ordinance format for enforceability. Turns into something else. Obviously, these will all need to be passed by council and codified so that there can actually be enforcement. That does kind of bring about another, I don't want to call it an issue, but definitely discussion with the police department and the chief and the administrative staff for purposes of their involvement with enforcement. And what level that's going to be. And sometimes that becomes the dynamic, much like, any of those things. That's why there's code enforcement officers that do, the non-police work, whether or not it turns into a situation where there's any type of, I guess the old-fashioned term of park rangers or things of that nature that have enforcement
That is why I
authority.
mentioned that last time. There's a lot of towns that have VIPs, and it's a lot of the retired guys that give them a golf cart or a four-wheeler, and they would love to do that, just to patrol them and just, it's just
Well,
something to
and that
consider.
just becomes the ability to, set up that process, because what they would be doing is, where it becomes a little bit more difficult is because they're not created by statute, that whereas code enforcement is, and they have the authority to cite for certain violations, a volunteer officer, if you will, in that capacity, doesn't have that authority. So what it would be is writing those things up, referring to the police department to then have them issue. So it'd almost be a two-step process, which, can happen. It's just how you want to go about that
Getting
and
it
putting
there.
that in place.
Yeah.
Yep. So that kind of also, I think, goes into how detailed and how extensive you want your park enforcement to be. Keep in mind that even though there's not official park rules, anything that is a town rule, anything that's a town ordinance applies in the parks too. It's still town property, which, as Chris referenced, brings us to a whole nother issue, because there's significant areas in the town code that animals, dogs, there's nothing about, leashes and pickup and, things that, it's just in the town code. So that carries over to your parks. So a lot of this also becomes, things that can improve the town overall, that then does pull in, code enforcement. And perhaps if it's, depending upon the extent or the depth of the rules, it's right in the reign already of what code enforcement would typically do. So that becomes another discussion as well with the council of funding, things of that nature. If this is going to be something that's hitting the general budget or something that's hitting the park board in that regard, but you might be able to fund it, but it still has to be created by the council for positions and, all of that as a town employee. So it gets a little bit deeper. I'm not a big believer in passing rules or ordinance that you can't enforce, or you don't
Right.
have the means to do so. It kind of,
Well, I know it's
Back
much
hits you in the
needed,
face.
and, I was just curious too, if anybody might know off the top of their head, but I think, documents like that, I haven't been on the park board that long, Mike might know, but is there a system for review, to update, to make sure that these policies and that are current? I don't know if we have, would you happen to know when's the last time these were reviewed or even made up, or do we?
A lot of
or
it's
St.
just-
John.
Yeah, for the,
A lot of them
it's
aren't,
not-
they don't exist. A lot
Okay.
of them don't. It's a
You'll-
lot of
you'll
these
see something that
ordinances.
says can't be on the ice, can't do this, can't do that, can't do that, but it's just there.
It's just nothing.
There's no.
And it's not,
Do anything
it,
about it. Technically, we go there, it's like, I can't get my ticket, I can't, you know, you just.
it
have
has to be
leave.
passed by the council. This board can set up and they can make their recommendation to the council for these are the items that we want codified. But it has to be for the power for something to do more than, as he's saying, please stop.
Right, right.
You know, there's no enforcement there, but
don't have
for the
too
and they
much.
just, there's so many areas that just have never been codified.
No.
We have a section on fishing that I think was codified
I love
in
that one.
the late 90s, maybe 99. I don't think there's anything since then that's been done.
That was why I brought this up,
Serious.
probably about a year ago. I brought this whole thing up, that
Yeah.
you gotta try to.
Fishing prohibited if you're not a town resident. Seriously.
You go out there and ask people for their IDs.
Can't do that. It's illegal. As Chris knows, one of our favorite ones in Lowell that recently was done away with was that you couldn't play baseball anywhere than on a designated field.
No, you couldn't play baseball in the parks at all.
That's true. It was a total restriction, wasn't it? It wasn't even designated.
You
So
couldn't even play catch with your son in our parks.
in a park, no pickup anywhere. But you can tie your horse downtown.
Yeah,
That's
that
still on
rule
the books.
still is, it's still active.
That's still on the
So,
books
Wayne,
in a
you got some work
lot
to
of
do.
towns. In a lot of towns. So much of it is just what you're saying. Some that are just antiquated, some that are just not up to speed, some as developments have happened and things have grown. Obviously, with as many parks as you have here, it's, you know, imperative, and the police are clearly getting called there for different, you know, items. They might as well have the enforceability to do something with it on the code, on the local code versus just misdemeanors and felony arrests.
Right. All right, sounds good for that. Thank you for
Can't wait
that,
for that, can you?
Tyler, and thank you, Ms. Nicole.
Sure.
That's,
Go on to the Town Council Liaison, Mr. Wayne Pondinas, sir.
One item, I think, Prairie West Park, the problems that we had out there. Mike, did they follow up on anything with all the stuff that happened out there? With the bathroom and,
I've been on vacation all summer.
oh, okay. Okay, Tyler, I thought
In case
maybe
you
you were
haven't
taking
noticed.
care of it, so
I didn't know.
I'll redirect to Tyler. And we got any police reports or any, we know,
I know a report was made, but I haven't heard anything since.
didn't catch anybody?
Don't we have cameras out there?
can we, what had happened?
So we had, the bathroom was vandalized, oh man, at least, what'd you say, Gabe, 5, 6 times, not more? The big thing they were doing there for a while was knocking down a partition to one of the restrooms. So almost weekly there for a month, we would go in and have to put it back up. And then about a month ago, we went into the boys' bathroom and one of the toilets had been blown up, some type of firework, we assume. Or the porcelain, was just shattered all over the place. So we had Reichout come out right away, and by the end of the day, it was, fixed and with a brand new one. But am I missing anything? Was that pretty much the big?
Maybe changing stations.
Yeah,
I heard they got Homestead Park again, porta pot.
yeah.
And when did they get locked?
So it's on a timer around, is it 8 p.m.?
Around 8 o'clock.
They're doing it during the day, they're not doing it at night.
Unfortunately, we're getting it at the school too. 'Cause they have like at least three stalls that are completely padlocked because they've destroyed everything in there. They rip all the mirrors off the wall, they ripped all the soap dispensers off, and these have really nice ones that had the school logo on it. Well, every one of those got stolen or ripped off the wall. Now they have these big, heavy-duty metal ones that are on the wall. And it's the same thing. We have cameras, but, you have 3,200 kids that are coming in and out of that school.
Can't
You know,
blame anyone.
You
yeah.
get 20 kids within 5 minutes that go in and out of there, and you question them, every one of them say, I didn't do it, and not much you can do after that. So there's like a group of them right now that are just kind of messing with us.
The Porta Johns is a whole nother, we had Homestead Acres that was blown up again a couple weeks ago. Last week we went out, one of them was almost pushed into the lake at Lake Hills. But that's to the point where I call Service Sanitation, they just kind of know it's me,
Especially around 4th of July, because they get that one every year.
Yes.
Last year, I think they said they pulled it out of there for 2 weeks. Then when they put it back there, they blew it up. Like,
let's implement that Parks Ranger
Nominate you.
position.
You got a nice golf cart with sirens on it.
I just put new wheels on it, so it's all jacked up now. Sirens, yeah. That needs to be handled, though, that.
Anything else, Wayne?
No, that's it.
All right, thank you for that. Move to item 8, payment of the bills. Consider payment of the bills. And these are small letters here, in the amount of $99,889.71.
So moved.
I'll second that.
It's a motion by Mike Moffett, second by John Boersma. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 9, public comment. Any public comments? Sir, you've been very patient, appreciate it.
I don't see anybody.
No problem. I'm going to kind of keep this short. I'm here to ask that the,
Can we get your name? And
my name's Dave Rubicki. Do you need my address or?
typically they give out an address.
Not on, I don't know if it's
Oh, that's fine.
Not what
for this
officers.
matter.
Okay, that's fine then.
St. John resident, I live in the Gates. I'm here to request that the board consider, the recommendation and approval of vamping, rejuvenating the baseball field at Larimer Park. The reason I'm asking, I'm sure many of you are aware, and Mr. Moffett can tell you, that travel baseball has become a huge thing for kids in youth baseball. Growing up, that wasn't the case. You played for your hometown. You could only play for your hometown. You played there until high school, then tried out for a high school team. Nowadays, if kids want to be considered to play high school or anything, you have to have a travel baseball resume, or else a lot of times you're not even considered, for a spot with your high school or anything like that. I'm not here to say anything against, St. John Youth Baseball or anything like that, but for a variety of reasons, a lot of St. John kids and residents aren't playing St. John Youth Baseball because they have to play for other travel programs if they want their kids to move on. A lot of these spots are being filled by kids from other communities, other towns. They're using all of the baseball fields that we currently have up and running because, as you know, they hold exclusive rights to every baseball field in town. This would give some of these other kids who have to play elsewhere the opportunity to use a field, play on that practice, or even just have a pickup baseball game, during a summer afternoon. So that's basically the gist of what the request is for. I know the field's already there, so I'm not sure what that would entail to, kind of upkeep it, but, I just think it'd be nice to consider for some of those kids that, aren't playing. Not that you necessarily need to know this, but these kids that are playing on these other travel programs, they're not eligible to play St. John Youth Baseball. That's right here on their, webpage for fall signups. So that's the other reason for the request. Just be nice to have, a field in town that some of these other kids could use if need be.
So you're asking for a field that would kind of be exempt from the baseball, St. John baseball, I guess.
Not held under the exclusive rights, that some of these other kids and other teams could maybe request reserving them for different things, different practices, or just to have pickup games with their friends. Because a lot of the fields are closed. They're locked up, and, really nobody can use them. So,
Dave, I haven't had a visual. If you were to guess, what kind of upgrades would it need?
John, we went out there last year, and we had T&J Landscaping out there kind of saying what we need. Basically, the whole infield needs to be kind of uprooted, put larger rocks, kind of basically redo the whole, whatever you call it, the gravel there. That was going to be, I forgot what the price was, but at that time we had to do the basketball court. So we're like, well, let's get the basketball court done first, and then we'll revisit this later. And that's something, definitely I know we need to revisit.
I think it needs to. If that's
And the main part I think he's talking about is that field. You go out there, it just looks like there's a creek that goes right through the middle of it.
yeah, no kid could go out there and play on it. They'd, take
Break an ankle or
it.
something.
one in the face, and without a doubt, I mean,
And yeah, that beautiful basketball court now, right there, I think that would be definitely the next thing to take care of that. And on the other part of that, which this is long-term, I'd like to see somehow go in that direction with our fields. Don't give it to somebody exclusively. I mean, I think that should be something more of a Parks Department field where we can actually rent them out, because right now they're in between.
Are you saying
Yeah.
we're losing kids to travel? We're not
We're losing by the hundreds.
So we don't have a good in-house league.
it's got nothing to do with the in-house program or that. It's just how baseball has become. You know, that's what it's turned into. It's not
politics
like
of
it was back in the day. So, you know, there's just a number of different programs out there, and it all depends what, you know, where your kid could get in, and, you know, what it's offered to them first in a lot of cases. So, you know, to ensure that they're playing something and they can actually say, hey, yeah, I played for travel program. It's just what it's turned into. It's kind of crazy when you think of what youth baseball has become.
Yeah.
And I know, and like our 5-year or whatever, I know there's predicted to have different fields, different places, whatever. I mean, I don't know if where that's at or anything. But I think going forward, we should have those more on a lease to use them. Like, because like he's saying,
Right, not a long-term.
There's so many travel programs out there to where the Tomahawks want to use these fields. Well, okay, it's your slot, just like the ice rink. You have 2 to 4, 3 to
Right.
6. You got softball. You got other travel teams that all are out of St. John, Cherville, Dyer, that they could rent them out. And you put a flat fee, how much it costs for that 2 hours. And this is what, obviously, moving
So
forward.
you're talking about having that field to not be leased, to not be given.
Oh, you'd still have your fields and towns that would be, that's your baseball field. Like Larimer, that's like our little bedroom.
Right.
Base, that will always be there, but we need to take care of it, though. That's
Yeah.
part of that.
Well,
I got you. I think that's great, Dave,
something needs to be looked
and
into.
definitely something we would be interested in looking into.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your
You know,
consideration.
Amount of the kids coming into the town, I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that. Item 10, adjournment. Consider adjournment for the meeting.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
It's motion by
Little